Imagine a single government agency that buys more parts, supplies, and materials than anyone else in the world. And you might have guessed it, it's the Defense Logistics Agency, more known as DLA, and you can find these contracts on this portal called DIBBS. In today's video, we're going to discuss what DIBBS and DLA are, and I'm going to show you how to find these opportunities so you can incorporate that and have a new stream of revenue for your business. So let's get into it. So what is the DLA? It's the Defense Logistics Agency, and they are the U.S. Department of Defense's primary logistics arm, and they are responsible for the supply chain operations supporting all military branches. And they are one of the largest government buyers in the world. So we're talking about 5.2 million items with nearly 35 billion in annual sales. So we're talking about a huge, huge scale. With that, they actually purchase everything. So from supplies, spare parts, fuel, uniform, flags, food, medical items, any product you can think of, they actually buy that. What is DIBBS? DIBBS is the DLA Internet Bid Board System. It's where they post these kind of requests for parts or items or quotations in general. And you can access it using this link. I will walk you through step by step how to actually utilize this platform because it's not very straightforward. Usually what you can do is you can submit competitive bids directly through this platform. You'll be notified of any contract awards and you get access all award documentation also on this platform. And then you can manage your contracts or track deliveries, payments, and performance requirements. Now, what can you sell? As I've mentioned, with the large budget they have and the huge amount of needs that this agency has, they pretty much buy every single product, part, or item you could think of. Aircraft components, they buy that. Vehicle and ship parts, they buy that. Medical supplies, food, clothing, healthcare equipment, pharmaceutical, flags, as I've mentioned, uniform, anything of that sort, they buy. So if you specialize in any of these, in selling any specific part, dealing with the DLA and being on DIBBS is essential because that's your primary contact or that's your primary customer in the federal government contracting space. Again, I want to emphasize from a small screw or a bolt to complex space parts, everything in that range, they buy. Now, it takes us to the second question, which is who can actually sell to the DLA? All businesses, all sizes are welcome. So large primes, small businesses, manufacturers, all compete on equal footing for opportunities. Now, there are special programs, and if you come from the government contracting space, you're familiar with SAM.gov, you know that there are special programs like small businesses, veteran-owned small businesses, women-owned businesses, and minority-owned businesses. The same thing is available on DIBBS. They have specific requests for quotes that are specifically to one of these programs. So if you have the certification, then you also will be able to bid or submit a response for opportunities that are only for small businesses, for example. Now, an essential requirement, which is no surprise to anyone, is you have to be registered on SAM.gov and you have to have a UEI. I have a video on how to do that. So if you want to start your process and register, you can check it out and see how you can obtain your UEI and start being eligible to actually sell to the government and specifically in this case, sell to the DLA. Now we get more into the practical side of the video. We want to see how we can actually search this DIBBS platform. And I'm going to show you some strategies on how to do that. When you click on the link, and it's called dibbs.bsm.dla, just search on Google for DIBBS and you'll be able to find it. You'll first be viewed with this kind of message. All you have to do is click on OK. I do not utilize the homepage a lot. What I usually go is I click on RFQs. RFQs stand for request for quotations. There are RFPs, but these, from my experience, I see most of them also on SAM.gov, whereas for request for quotes, they are mainly on DIBBS. Now, there are two sides, as you can see here. There's the custom query, and then there's the RFQ search. What you could possibly do is you could just try and utilize one keyword relevant to your business here. So for example, flag would be one, or maybe gunpowder, something like that. And then we could try and review these results. On the other side, you could search by part number or national stock number. And that's like, these are, if you know the national stock number or the part number, you could just search by it and you'll be able to find all the requests for quotes for that specific part. So you could see here that the scope is only open RFQs, and that's what we want. And then you can see here, these will be also relevant. So I'm going to go through these as well. Once we see the results, you will see these icons on the side. And I'm going to break down what these means. So you could filter by those here. So automated indefinite delivery contract, these are contracts that are open-ended. So the government will just request refills. For example, they always want something ongoing. All they have to do once they award you the contract is they ask for more. They're not going to open it up for competition again. Now, when you see this icon, it means that there's a technical document involved with the product that they are soliciting for or requesting quotation for. And then fast award candidates, these are more contracts that are easier or faster to actually award. And then we have all these small business set aside. So here we have small business, hub zone, service disabled, veteran-owned small businesses, women-owned small businesses, and economically disadvantaged women-owned small businesses. So when you see these tags, that means they only award these contracts to that specific set aside. Now, in here, if you can see this small line here, what you can do is you could review quotation daily basis. So if you click on RFQs by issue date, you can go to whichever date you want. So let's say we want to go for yesterday, and we can see which RFQs were released. And you can see here that, for example, this one is battery power supply, this one is battery storage, this one is adapter. If these are relevant to you, they could obviously, this is the NSM part, which we talked about. And then this is more of like the item that they're trying to buy. And with the ones that have a technical document, you can see here the document. Here's the solicitation. So a solicitation could have multiple parts that are requested. So the mapping is different from SAM.gov if you're familiar with that. With this, you can have multiple parts or multiple items within the same solicitation, but they are listed separately. We can see here when the purchase is requested and when they have to, the deadline, when it was issued, and the deadline as well. Now, you can click on the package view and it will get you to a view like this. There, as you can see, there's no title, no description, nothing. You have the solicitation document here, which is the RFQs details. And then you have here a technical document with this one. They'll probably have a technical requirement with the part they want. You can see here the quantity that they want. They want 25 of this covering external S. That's pretty much it. So it's not an easy process to actually go through this, but there's an easier way to search, which is the RFQs by FSC. So FSCs are the federal stock classes. And let's say you sell something specific, you can actually come here and find it. So let's say we sell, I don't know, like cargo and tanker vessels, but that's not the only thing we sell. So all you have to do is click on Command if you're on a Mac user, or Control if you're a Windows user, and then you could multi-select the things that you sell. So you see what I'm doing here? I'm multi-selecting things that I sell. Once you are done with that, if you only want to show, for example, as I mentioned, the set aside or fast award RFQs, then you could just select that, for example, a fast award candidate and for small business set aside. And then you can click on Submit. And in my case, I got no results. But you get the point. Is we are trying to find things that are within our FSC. You gather your FSCs, you select all of them, and then you just find whichever RFQs are available. Now, just so I can make sure I also cover the RFPs. As I've mentioned, I have seen a lot of RFPs that are posted on SAM.gov as well. So if you don't want to deal with this heinous platform, you could just view the RFPs on SAM.gov, but also some of them are not actually posted on SAM.gov. So you could here search by the solicitation ID, the number, the NSN, as I've mentioned. That is pretty much how you search through this platform. As I've shown you, you kind of have to use the filtering, understand what are your FSCs and also the NSN. So NSN is the national stock number, as I've mentioned. The FSC is the federal stock classes. So once we identify that, it should be a lot easier to actually find request for quotes. All you have to do then is go through the documents and try and understand what they want, the quantity. And if there's a technical document, then you have to review that and make sure that you are adhering to the technical requirements they have. Now, obviously, from what you have seen, this is not the best platform to search. So I'll give you an alternative, as I always do. And in this case, we're going to show you how you can do that on DIBBS. So with DIBBS, we have generated on SAM Search, we have generated a title. So you'll be able to understand what you actually want. And so on the DIBBS platform, there was no title. And then you have an AI summary that tells you exactly what they're trying to buy. So just by that, it made the process much, much, much easier. And now you could utilize the filters on the side to be able to filter for example, if you want it to be a fast award, if you want it to be indefinite contract, then you can do that. If you want to filter by NAICS code or set aside, you could do that as well. Now, let's say we want to sell like something relating to clothing. All you have to do is just drop that, and then you'll be able to see, for example, this one is for coats and trousers. It understands what basically you mentioned, so you don't have to rely on these codes and knowing the NSN and FSC. None of that is needed. Now, once you get into each one of these opportunities, you will be able to see also a description. So this description was generated by AI, and it will get into the details. As we have shown you on DIBBS, there's no details of mentioned in the description or a title or a summary, nothing. And then we could also here see that the exact parts that they are requesting. So you can see here the number, you can see here the description. If there's a quantity then mentioned, then you would also see that as well. Now you also have the RFQ document listed here, and it's summarized by default. So you'll be able to understand exactly what they want. Now, if you want to take it a step further, you could utilize the SAM Search chat feature. And as you can see here, you have access to all the documents. So this is just a table, but maybe we want to go over the details in here. So we could come here and you could just ask the AI, for example, any questions about, I don't know, like the caution notice. I just read that quickly in the document here. And as you can see quickly, it was able to show you the solicitation notices. And if you click on the source, it would tell you which page you got that information from. You could easily review these, ask it to summarize it, give you more details. It's pretty intuitive and easy for you to actually review these annoying documents that if you had to do it yourself and find the resource and the citation, it would just be insanely difficult. So this would also make it easier for you to understand the actual documents once it gets into that. And as you can see with this one, there's just a lot of documents. So knowing which document you're talking to using the chat makes it a lot easier. I hope I showed you like an easy way, but why DIBBS matter for your business? There's a lot of volume actually going on this platform. So if you're not tracking DIBBS and you sell parts, you're pretty much missing on a huge opportunity. As I've talked before, we're talking about $50 billion in annual procurement. There's opportunities every single day, and they Also, the timeline is very short, so you have to be on there on a daily basis. And it's the best starting platform for any small business entering into defense contracting. It provides an excellent foundation for building relationship with the DLA and prime contractors. So it opened the door for you to get into large opportunities that you would otherwise would be difficult for you to get your foot in the door. Here are the key takeaways. DLA is your gateway to the Defense Department. DIBBS usually is a difficult platform to digest, so make sure you invest in an alternative like SAM Search. It will just make it a lot easier for you to track these opportunities. And there's a wide product range, as I've mentioned. Whatever you sell when it comes to products, they actually buy it. And this, as I've mentioned, goes from simple and small things like t-shirts and trousers, as I've shown you, all the way to parts, aerospace parts, and things like that. So if you're ready to start and you want to search on for these opportunities, make sure to follow my instructions on DIBBS, or if you want an easier way, make sure to get the SAM Search. It'll just make your life much easier. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like it and share it with your friends. And I wish you best of luck with navigating DIBBS and selling to the government. Bye-bye.